It's October the 30th, 2023, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I am Gerrisar, a person who defends other person's Reddit posts on Twitter.
Hello there, I'm TreesapJake, and I'm a PvP person who PvPs with people.
Is it a PvP person, people? Is that PvP, PPP?
I'm a people versus people person. I changed that earlier because obviously I don't have a real sort of one that I've stuck to in a little while because my sort of class that I play sort of bounces around a little bit. Although I also have played a lot of Elemental Shaman this week. I just thought I'd try something a bit different, and then I was like, oh, Gerrisar, you've tried something different as well. So we're very much people today.
True. The PvP person, people, pumpkin, Pied Piper, something.
Getting onto something a bit dodgy there. Anyway.
Just don't talk about the pickles.
Yeah, don't talk about the pickles.
Well, unfortunately, Big can't make it. He is overwhelmed with work over for the skill cap thing. Working really hard to trying to get their Mythic Plus video launch or their school launched on that. So he's having to work over there. So it's just the two of us. But I think quickly, you kind of alluded to it, but what have you been playing? Like you just like whatever the flavor of the month is, or whatever. Do you like RNG which class you're going to play for the night, or have you even had a chance to play? I know you've been super busy too.
I have been. Yeah, it's a good question, really. I have found in Dragonflight, seeing as everything is so easy to get geared up, I've been playing quite a lot of different things, and I feel like obviously I'm going back to that Warlock often. I found that in retail, Demo is where I'm enjoying things. I understand the spec, I get it, I comprehend it. I seem to do all right at it, even though I don't necessarily think that I'm incredible at it. I understand it, and because I understand it, I'm able to play it as well. When I jump onto Elemental Shaman like it is now, I completely and totally crush on it. I just understand exactly what I'm doing. I've played that spec for years, so it's kind of like a kind of coming home sort of situation for me. But I found myself playing a lot of Feral on retail, mostly because I play a lot of that on Wrath, and it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. Like I will say, like I've always wanted to be good at Feral. I remember in Legion, I tried so hard to get good at it. I just didn't understand it, didn't know what was going on, didn't know what to do, and therefore I kind of really sucked at it. And that's kind of when I sort of played Boomkin instead. But I wanted to try it, and seeing as I'm playing it in Wrath, I've been playing it. So a lot of Feral, a lot of Warlock, a bit of Elemental, as much as I can, but it's not very much at the minute.
Okay.
What about yourself? What have you been doing?
Well, I just want to follow. Is that like 3s, 2s, solo shuffle, mixture of it all?
It's actually 3s. I mostly play with people. I haven't really done solo shuffle because to sit there for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, waiting in a queue to play it's just something that I don't have that kind of time. And if I do, like if I'm sat there for 25 minutes, usually someone comes in and interrupts me. Like this is what I don't understand about their design of solo shuffle is that for majority of the people that want to play that, if you're a streamer or if you're someone that has a lot of time during the day or you work from home, then maybe you have a bit of a better chance of actually kind of, you know what, I can grind out solo shuffle very easily. But if you're working during the day and you come home in the evening, you got a lot of stuff to do and you kind of want to jump on and play half an hour or play 20 minutes or played 45 minutes, you could be in a queue for that time and still not get a pop.
Yep.
So it's kind of sucky.
Yeah. I think the idea of it though is the people that have limited time also don't have the time to sit in LFG waiting for somebody to come along and become or go through 40 minutes of trying to get into a game, maybe get into a team on LFG and get one win, get one loss, everybody abandons, and then they're back in LFG trying to find a team again. Versus solo shuffle, well, at least you're playing something maybe. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, I get it. I understand that that realistically speaking, it's so much easier to be out there playing solo shuffle, kind of just not having to look for anyone. But to be honest with you, in the time period that it's taken for me to get a single round or a single game of solo shuffle, you could find someone. Yeah, you know what? They might end up leaving, but it's not actually too bad to look in LFG. Obviously we all know that needs a rehaul, but regardless, you can still look for people. I think it's
True.
during the day that becomes a bit more difficult, but at night you can normally find people.
True enough.
They might not be on the
Very
same
true.
level, but in the sort of like 1800 bracket,
Yeah.
it's
then you start getting into other things. Is like, do you have people your level? You're looking for, are you 1800 player looking for 2K players? Because you're on your alt, quote unquote.
exactly. I mean, that's true though.
Yeah, it is. To answer your question though, what have I been up to? Mostly just random and epic battlegrounds. Been really having. I really enjoy running around on my Vengeance Demon Hunter. I don't really kill things as much. I was starting to give Havoc a little bit of a play, especially with the most recent class changes they did, which made I-Beam unkickable. Which, oh my god, is that empower? It's very powerful. It's just so much fun to play. But yeah, been enjoying that and just pissing people off in battlegrounds. Really.
I think that's the thing though. Like that's why. I mean, Vengeance Demon Hunter I think it's still good in RPG, so it should be good. Like if you're a tank, you go out there, you're just unkillable. You just go out there, you run around, you do damage.
No, you can still die. You can still die as a demon hunter. But so case in point, we went into a battleground. I ended up posting a couple of QB discords. Ended up meeting up with a listener over on and a player over on Oasis, and the two of us queued up. And he looked at you. He goes, "Is that your health? Is your health 1260K?" I'm like, "Yep." So we were running around Eye of the Storm, and I had 1.2 million health.
That's the thing there. Like there's the disparity between your health versus. I mean, like that is just you just don't. If in a 1v1, right? Realistically speaking, I'm never going to beat you, no matter what class I play. I'm never going to beat you because what will happen is that I'm going to attack you and you're going to out heal me, outlast me, and you've got more health and your damage must. It's not going to be massive. It's going to be way more. Like I'm not ever going to kill you. Like if I play Ellie, I'm not going to kill you. If I play Demon, I'm not going to kill you. Unless I get some insane burst off, and it's sort of like it's maybe on like insane burst classes, but on classes that do really big consistent damage, that's not going to happen. Not going to get through your health enough, or make you use cooldowns. But it's obviously massively fun for BG. So
yeah, it is.
Keep going.
Yeah, I have fun.
There's probably someone with like a list with your name on, with your character's name on, just going like, if I ever see this guy, both either in real life or in the game again, there's going to be some terrible things happening.
I'll make it really easy. It's a demon hunter, Vengeance Demon Hunter called Technical, and instead of an H, it's a K.
Technical.
Yeah.
Is it technical _ PvP?
Nope, because you can't use and technical PvP is too long. It's just too many characters. So so I just made it Technical, and I can spell it properly because that name's already taken. So yeah.
You know what you should do? You should make your next character _. And then you have another one where you type out PvP and it's P P double E V double E P double P P double E.
Yeah, actually, what I should do is make a hunter called Technically with a pet called _PvP.
Yes, yeah. That's it.
There you go.
That's the play.
That's yeah. Thank you. Great. Now I got to learn how to play Beastmaster or something. Bleh.
Oh, it's very easy. Just press one button.
Kill command, right?
Just press kill command and Cobra shot.
There you go. There it is already in the chat. Delete tanks. All right. Well, I think that's enough about us. I think I want to know what your need, greed, and pass is because you have some hints here, and I'm kind of a bit curious. So let's get into that and see what you got.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
Wow. I need to check my volumes on those. That was loud in my ears. Holy moly. Ouch.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I think something changed. Anyway, that's enough. Need, greed, pass. So, yeah, like always, somebody becomes a scenario. It's Jake to this time. 3 items, and we're going to need, greed, and pass on them. Again, everybody at home, please play along. Head on over to the Discord, and we'll have a thread over there, or just type it in chat if you're there right now. But fire away, Jake. I want to, because I'm looking at the options here, and I'm not sure what the scenario is. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to be talking about gearing and the gearing system in Dragonflight, which, as anyone who either follows myself or most PvPers, happy to say, probably one of the best gearing systems we've ever had for PvP. It's incredibly easy. It's just as it should be. It's maybe a little bit complicated in the sense of knowing what you need to do in order to really optimize your gear, but I think that's it's okay. So what I've done is I've taken all 3 of the worst gearing for PvP that we've ever had, and I'm going to make you choose which one you would rather have. So that's what I've done, because I feel like that is the options there. Now I have a sinking feeling looking at this that there is going to be one in particular that I think both of us are going to choose, but I'm going to wait and see. Either way, let me introduce the 3 options. So
Okay.
around, door number 1, the corruption vendor. Yes, you get to pick and choose which corruptions or which bonuses go onto your gear. So
Okay.
that is sort of anything, that is anything to do with, imagine any sort of buff, rotation of buffs or special items you can get for your gear. Changes each week. That's what you get.
Okay.
The next one.
This is the rotation. This is a rotational one, not where you have you can pick anything anytime. Okay.
Yeah, rotational one. This is the original corruption vendor with rotations. Shadowlands upgrade system. So depending on how high you push or high key you do or whatever, depends on how you upgrade your gear. And obviously, depending on how high you are, that means your actual item level goes up. So you could be hard stuck 1700 fighting people with 1800, and they've got like a 5 item level, 3 item level increase all around ahead of you. The next one is Mythic Plus gearing. So that is gearing PvP by getting the right gear from very specific dungeons. So you would spam stuff like that Mechagon place for a ring that had haste versatility on it. You did it 5 to 6, 7 times for that one specific ring. So those are the 3 options: rotational corruption vendor style, Shadowlands upgrade system, or BFA Mythic Plus gearing for PvP.
It's actually kind of funny that there's 2, corruption vendor. That was BFA as well, right?
Yeah, I've obviously chosen 2 from BFA because BFA was quite literally the worst of them all.
Yes. Which, funny enough, that's when Chris Kaliki left the post. So
yeah, there's
just saying. All right. And so we're needing on the one we want and passing on the one that we absolutely don't want. Oh boy. Okay.
So you're needing the one that if you were presented with those 3 options, these are the only 3 options that you can ever get in PvP going forward ever. You would need that one. You'd put greed as a sort of like secondary system that we'd bring in to accentuate the first, and then pass is getting like, no way, that's not coming back.
Okay. All right. So this is tough because Mythic Plus gearing actually isn't that bad, right? You can cycle through, you can focus target onto a certain piece, keep running until you get it, or if you don't, then you always have the lottery machine called the vault, right? So it's not that bad. That said, it's doing PvE for PvP.
Yes.
So I hate that. And because of that reason and that reason only, I'm going to need on Shadowlands.
Okay.
Shadowlands upgrade. Because at least you're PvPing for PvP gear.
Yes.
And you're cascading, you're upgrading it at least through PvP. So bully for that. And I'm going to agree then on Corruption Vendor, because that was actually really, it was super wacky. But man, that was fun. Like casting off half-second chaos bolts as a demon, as a destruction warlock. Like,
For real.
That was so much fun. And I think a lot of people kind of enjoyed the wackiness of it. They didn't enjoy some of the aspects of it, such as the Holy Paladin CDR, especially the first initial part of the season where Shadow Priest could do Void Tendrils, and then they could Disc Priest shield or power shield their tendrils so that nobody could kill them. Like, that was just goofy. But I'll do that because I mean, wacky is still fun, and I'm going to pass on the Mythic Plus gearing only for that reason, because PvE gearing, going and doing PvE to then do PvP, I detest. So
Yes.
What about you, Jay? Is that what you were going to do, or you got something different?
Well, the thing is, right, I actually thought you would go for Mythic Plus gearing more. And the reason why is because the one thing I will say, having done a lot of that in BFA, is that whilst it was terrible, what it did do, which I think people very much underestimated going into Shadowlands, is that it put everyone on the same level. If you went and ran like a Mythic 15 in BFA, you would have the same level gear as someone that was at 2400 plus 3K plus. You would have the same level gear as them, because
True.
it all kind of capped out. And so what it meant is that you could do no PvP, only PvE, and come in and be fully geared, ready to go, with the right stats and right everything, crafting everything else.
True.
And you could step into the arena and you'd have the same gear, and there was no disparity. It was just, now obviously corruption's changed this, but in that point there was no disparity between anyone. Now I'm not saying this is a perfect system at all. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that we have that now with our Dragonflight PvP vendor, which is that everyone gets the gear, everyone has the same gear, and later on in the season you can literally have done almost zero arena on your alts and get sent all the gear to start off with, and step into the arena with full gear, and you're competing with the same guys with the same level of stuff. Now, that's what you would need. You need to be able to step into the arena, be able to have the same level stuff as everyone else, and feel like you're competing with them.
True.
Which is what the one thing that I think the Mythic Plus did.
Yeah, and you have a good point there. I didn't think about that. And I guess in that way, that's actually one thing we don't have in Dragonflight right now, is that if a person has been doing a bunch of PvE and focusing on that, and then wants to switch over to PvP, and they have no rating, they have no alts that have rating, they're starting from square one, and that PvE gear doesn't do well in PvP.
It doesn't do well at all. I mean, it's okay. I mean, saying that though, actually, to be honest, if you've got 240 item level stuff, you'll be okay. It's you're lacking versatility. You haven't got the right stats. So there's obviously certain things that are going to be affected there. But for me, like that, like regardless, Dragonflight has a much superior gearing system by far, like 100%.
Okay.
But there's way too much to do. So for me, I am actually going to I'm going to need the Mythic Plus gearing system only because for one reason only, and that is because out of all three of them, I had agency over how I was gearing my character with the Mythic Plus gearing. Like I was able to choose my stats. I was able to min max. I was able to, like, it took a long time and it wasn't fun. Absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. Like if this is for me the shinier of three turds, it's or the nicer smelling of three turds, I guess. But I'm choosing this one because I have agency over my character. I'm able to actually determine what stats I want and everything, and then therefore jump into the arena. I remember doing this. I grinded all this gear. I then stepped into the arena, shot all the way up to 2K playing twos, and then did my first ever 2-4 push not needing to do anything. I had full gear, and the only responsibility that there was for me to play better. That was it. I would sit there and go, I always instantly lose to Asa rogues with full gushing wounds, but that's fine because as long as I play perfectly, I can win. And then I knew that if I mess up, then I lose, and that's what that was the most important thing, is I messed up because I made the mistake. Yeah, and obviously balancing is a whole different ballgame. But regardless, I didn't blame gear. Now going into Shadowlands, that was what I did. So Shadowlands, there were so many instances where I was a little bit behind the curve, and because I didn't have the upgrades, I was fighting people that had 10 eye level higher than me, and they crushed you. And you could really feel it. I remember feeling the power spike. Like I remember on my enhanced shaman feeling the power spike of going from 1600 gear to 2-1 gear. It was bonkers. Duelist gear upgrades was just insane. So for me, I'm going to greed Shadowlands upgrades only because of the fact that I could PvP to get them. I agree with you. I can PvP. I don't have the PvP. That's fine. I prefer that. However, I didn't think the upgrade system was good at all, and it just promoted boosting and made the climate of boosting so much worse than it had been ever. And then I will pass on Corruption Vendor because I think any rotational vendor for PvP stuff that's got the right stats is horrific. And if you missed a week, and it's not good for casual players. It's bad.
You're not wrong.
Regardless of the like how fun that was with those different bits and pieces, it just I remember when the meta changed from being that one shot like infinite stars or like whatever it was called, and swapped to gushing wounds, and pretty much everyone played gushing wounds, and it was just like all gushing wounds was adding a sort of
a dot.
50, it was just a dot, and all it did was just made you die quicker. And that was the reason why they did it. They went from basically having these really long games to just gushing wounds, kind of trying to bring the damage up so high that it rinsed you quicker and that the game's ended. That was their fix for it.
Yeah.
So I don't like any of that. But anyway, those are my three choices. Hopefully people agree.
Hopefully they agree with me.
Well, I disagree.
All right. Well, I like it. And I think all your points are valid. And I do find it interesting that the three choices are two are are from BFA, and then the other one's from
For me, BFA had that worse system, and I just think it's interesting sometimes to think about it from a different angle. You're not just thinking like, oh, I have the PvE for it, but what about actually the positives of that? What positivity can you take from that system? And that positivity is I have control over how I build my character, which you don't often have in PvP nowadays, because certain stats, like think about this, like in order to get the perfect gearing system with haste versa, you have to have scale warden gear, which is what you get from doing the world PvP stuff. You can't just do honor. You can't, BGs. You can't just do arena to get the perfect stats. Now, if they brought in Dragonflight, this gearing system we currently have, but then allowed us to reforge stats into preferred stats, it would be the most brilliant, perfect system in the world.
Interesting. It's interesting, so let's actually put a pin in that, because we're going to talk about gearing when we get to the subject of analysis. Yeah. So that's a great little segue. But right before we do that, I need to do a little interruption, and I want to talk about upcoming PvP events.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
All right. So just quickly, so Blizzard's obviously finished their season 2. We're in this nice little lull, and with that, so Method. I know they did their organized community PvP, and now Liquid is. So we got 2 events coming up from Liquid, which is awesome. We have a 3v3 tournament this weekend. It was an invitational, and it was basically the top 8 from season 2. So should be an interesting go. So that's going to be this weekend, right before Labor Day, which is nice. And then at the end of the month is the Liquid's Ascension Mythic Plus tournament. That's going to be The finals of which are going to be streamed on the 30th, but the qualifiers are starting right now. So teams have been formed together. They're running dungeons to try to push keys in order to make the qualifiers to go to the actual tournament for the prize pool. So, and that one is I think really cool because it being an EVE Ascension, it is only for gender minorities and and women. So it really helps boost some of those people that normally wouldn't be seen in the tournament setting. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, let's go to the subject of analysis and talk about gearing.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
All right, let's do this. Jake. So you're just saying how much you don't like PvP gearing in Dragonflight? Is that what I heard you say?
No, I love the PvP gearing in Dragonflight. I just think they've got an almost perfect system with it. There's just a certain few things that should be fixed in order to make it perfect. And I think they're very easy things to fix. And if they did them and then kept them going forwards, people would love PvP a lot more.
Okay. See, it's funny because I actually enjoy it. I like the system. I like the fact that it's a little bit of risk and reward. That if you want to, I don't know, if you want to go like more haste heavy or more mastery heavy than what's just in the conquest gear or the honor gear, you have to go outside of that. You have to start looking at the vendor gear through the bloody token, the scale warden. You have to look at the crafted stuff, be it the obsidian combatants gear that upgraded with trophies, or actual just other items that are upgraded with trophies. I like that idea, and the fact that the risk there is scale warden is just like 3 item levels. Is that really that much of a difference? 3 item level difference between conquest gear and bloody token gear with the trophy?
I don't think it's too much. I don't think it's too much at all. I mean, I think this, yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, it'd be nice to have, to do all aspects of the game. It just in my head, what feels right is that yes, it feeds into people crafting stuff. I like that. Obviously, there's a community aspect to that. That obviously is a really nice thing. There's no real segue into that. Nobody really knows what's going on. Everyone knows that through basically word of mouth. There's no real kind of tuition or tutorial to kind of show you, yeah, okay, if you want to get into PvP, this is what you need to do. And in fact, actually, what they need to do in the next expansion or whatever they do, decide to do something new, they need to get Mr. GM in, or Sea-Doo in, or anyone that's PvP related probably, and just kind of like do a little tutorial via their social media and YouTube about what PvPers will need to do in order to get their gear sorted, so that people kind of know, people are aware of what they need to do. Like, for example, if people had told me that you can get all the right stats through crafting in the beginning, I would have done it a lot more in season 1. No idea. I didn't know until season 2 really the kind of strength of it all and what's available to me. So I feel like that's the real big letdown, in my opinion.
Did they even have trophies that you could buy with Conquest in season 1 to upgrade crafted gear to PvP level? I don't.
No, they didn't.
Think they did.
Didn't. No, they didn't.
So that's only season 2 that they did that.
Yes, they've definitely improved that, but I didn't really know they were even doing that in season 2. It was very hard to find that information.
True.
And I remember there is a screenshot somewhere of a friend in my sort of like server Discord, in my PvP server Discord, who wrote out probably what is probably considered by most people to be a small essay on what exactly you had to do and how you unlocked it, and then how you got the sparks. Like, none of this was written anywhere. Absolutely none of it was written anywhere of how to do this. It was just word of mouth explaining me how to get the season 2. And even then, when I was looking at it, I was like going, this is so intense. Now, obviously, having done it multiple times, it's very easy to explain. You just go and do dailies, you get this, you go to the vendor, you do it. But like, when you first were doing it, it was like impossible to kind of figure out where you had to go and what the hell you were doing. And there's no signposting. So I don't mind the system. I think it's really great. As I told you, I think the Dragonflight gearing for PvP is probably the best they've ever done. what would make sense for me, as a PvPer, is that if you could still get this stuff crafted, but if you wanted to reforge it, you could reforge it. You could just
Yeah.
put it in a slot, pay a bit of money, or even do exactly what you're doing now, which is reforge it. But instead of having to get new items for the guys to craft it again, they just change the stats a little bit, and you can pay people money to change the stats ever so slightly. Like, you can still get
Yeah.
people involved and get the community in, but having a form of reforging that doesn't require you to basically buy loads of money. Because let's face it, like, crafted gear, you need money.
Yeah.
And people are, it's almost a pay to win at that point, because people inevitably end up throwing real life money into it to get gold in order to buy everything on the multiple different alts they've got.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of, if you could actually kind of do it yourself through, I mean, obviously it's a great marketing strat and a money maker for Blizzard to do it that way, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, to make it perfect would have the reforging and have some sort of social media that is talking, that isn't, a random creator, is official World of Warcraft or Warcraft communication explaining, hey, you're a PvPer, why do you do this? So Blizzard,
Yeah.
if you happen to be coming along here and you're looking for a guy to talk about your next gearing system, please get me on. I will do it for you. I will explain it so people can actually kind of figure out what's going on. It'll really help drive interaction.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that's something that they did miss with all of the various content creators that they had, the talks that they had. I mean, they even had Sea-Doo on some stuff. They really didn't explain how gearing was going to work for PvP. And yeah, I mean, the only reason why I trundled onto it was I was trying to figure out how to get precog, the precognition onto my warlock, and then I stumbled onto embellishments, and then when I actually went over to murloc.io and took a look, and then I saw people wearing crafted gear. I was like, what? Oh, why are you wearing that? And then I looked into it further, and I was like, oh, Infurious footwear. Okay, that's a thing. And it has a PvP item level? What the heck? How's that work? And then I found out about trophies, and then it just kind of went that way. So I stumbled onto it by accident. But I think, I think you have a really good point there, is that they didn't do a very good job of explaining it. And I'll say Blizzard has a habit of doing that. They for years, where they have put stuff into the game and then left the information to it obscured, so that third-party websites, like information websites or content creators like us, then pick it up and inform people, and then it becomes the story, which is kind of cool. And then if somebody happens to figure it out beforehand, then they actually have a power advantage because they figured it out. But you're right, you need a bunch of gold in order to get everything exactly perfect the way you want to. That said, I think if you really wanted to, if you want to do a cheap route and not max min to the 100%, you will do just fine with conquest gear and some upgraded skill warden gear mixed in with your tier sets, and you'll be fine. Really. With the exception of course, is if you need precog as a caster, or if you need one of these embellishments. But again, I think I don't think every caster needs precog, and I don't think everybody needs an embellishment to succeed, at least capably succeed in PvP. So, that's my piece.
No, I think that's a really valid. No, I think that's a really valid thing to say. Like, I think there are definitely a lot of advantages, and I think you don't need everything to do well, especially if pushing. I think realistically speaking, Dragonflight's main problem has nothing to do with the gearing system. That's just the sort of ease of access and ease for people learning PvP, because the problems, as we've talked about a myriad of times, is how they balance it right now, rather than the gearing. The gearing, I think, is fantastic, but maybe we should, for the listeners, kind of give them a little few, maybe some tips and some ideas on what they can get.
I think we totally should do that. So Well, I think first and foremost, the vendor gear, right? That's easy stuff to find. So, honor gear, you got the honor vendor. He's over in the back room of where the training dummies are and the PvP dummy. Simple, farm up. Go do PvP content. Honor battlegrounds, arena, rated battlegrounds, world PvP. Especially if you get the chest, the war chest that drops. I think it's about every hour in a zone, and that thing will give you bloody tokens. It will give you 60 conquest, your first pick for the day. I think it's 0 conquest after that, and then usually it's a bunch of honor as well. And sometimes you'll get like extra tokens to turn in more honor. So there's that. And then there's obviously then the conquest vendor. So farm a conquest through rated PvP. And again, like I said, that war chest, and then you can buy that gear. The bloody tokens, I think, and I'm trying to remember, I don't think you get any from looting bodies when you do world PvP. I think it's only through doing the world quests, which cycle daily, and again, that war chest.
I think the bloody tokens you do get from killing people.
Okay.
It's the essence, not essence. There's something strife. No, it's not strife. There's another.
The sparks.
No, it's not sparks. There's another thing that you get from doing those quests that gives you items in order to upgrade your world PvP gear. I think it's something of strife. I might be wrong.
So there's the trophy of strife, which is you can use to upgrade your gear from just bloody token gear to the higher item level. And that you only get from doing the weekly the weekly quest from the PvP quest givers. And that's where you have to go and get 50 or 100 sparks from a certain zone. And you get that from killing people. You get that from doing rares. You can also get it from looting chests. The dirt piles if you happen to have a shovel on you, and the backpacks. So you could actually go into a zone that's dead and fly around and just dig dirt piles and get enough sparks to turn in the weekly and get yourself your trophies to upgrade your gear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's. I mean, I didn't even know that existed for a long time. So that's, if you're listening and you're kind of wondering, where do I want to start for PvP? Go do some world PvP. Get some of this off pieces, the stuff that's got haste versa. Be really useful for you, or mastery versa, whatever your best stat is.
Exactly. And chat, thank you for clarifying. You do get bloody tokens just for killing people. You don't have to loot them or anything. It just automatically happens. So that's good.
Yep. So we talked about, that's the world PvP stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for honor, actually we should probably clarify. The world PvP goes from 392, at least in season 2, 392 to 434. So obviously what that means is that it's outside of PvP, it's 392, and inside PvP it jumps all the way up to 343. 43. There we go. 434. I get there eventually. Obviously, when it's upgraded, it goes from 411 up to 447.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an increase.
We should probably note that stuff also has set bonuses. So it's almost a tier set.
It is. And they had this really cool interaction, if you remember, from season 1, where it gave you it gave you a load of versatility, and then it also gave you a shield if you were stunned.
Yep.
Or something along those lines. And then we were like, oh, this is sick. Like, maybe we have to, we can get something, a 2-piece world PvP set to, to bring into arena. And lo and behold, doesn't work in anything that isn't world PvP. So that was like really big. And no one was happy about that. Everyone thought that was really lame. So yeah, that's happened. Yeah. So yeah, there are some cool things that you can get, but they don't always work in every single situation. But if you like doing world PvP, then so be it.
I thought the versatility set bonus did activate in instance PvP as well.
I think it didn't or did?
I think it did. I thought if you had like the 2-piece where it was like so much extra versatility, I think that worked no matter where you were. It was the other set bonus stuff that didn't work in instance PvP, which I was a little upset about too. Yeah, not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
it's sad. It's a real sad situation when you've grinded out all this gear and you're like, yeah, this is cool. I can use this in PvP, and it doesn't work. Like it was a bad decision, I think. But I understand why they're
hmm
wary of adding those sort of things in because people abuse it, especially if
hmm
it's really strong, and then they've got to nerf that, which is just another thing for them to nerf. So they were just like, nah, it just doesn't work. And which I
hmm
understand. I get where they're coming from, but it is sad. It is a sad thing that like you find something cool and they chose the one thing that could have been really cool and made it not cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So I think that's it for the vendor gear, right? Oh, I
at least
should we should probably point out that the bloody token gear, that world PvP gear, it actually drops from world quest as well. So
ah
if you can't, let's say you're short and you want like gloves or something like that, chances are within the week, you'll probably see the item show up as a world quest bonus or a reward for the PvP world quest. That is.
exactly.
Um, so then, what about crafted gear? I think you have. I mean, obviously, you're the one that read your friend's thesis there on gearing. Tell us
did.
about that.
So crafted gear is basically one of the big changes that Blizzard made going into season 2, which I thought was amazing. Was that? Oh, I mean, it was a good solution for the situation that they have. Obviously, we all know how I feel about it in general. But what they did is they said, okay, you can craft any piece of gear any way you like, and you can do it with the right stats that you want. So basically, you can craft exactly what you need in the places that we don't have it for PvP, and it counts as PvP gear and it
Mm-hmm.
upgrades in PvP. So how it works is there are 3 different crests, or I guess trophies, or things along those lines, which is basically different 3 different pieces that cost the same as if you're getting a chest piece, or if you're getting a gloves piece, or you're getting a ring. Sort of like 500, 700, and 850. I think is it something along those lines, or maybe less. Maybe I've got the pricing wrong. But either way, you can buy them, and then when you go to craft gear, you put it in there, and instead of the crafted gear being just like PvE and it only goes to 411, it jumps all the way up to 450, exactly the same as a conquest, but with the right stats on and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
all you need to do is have a spark of shadow flame, which is where you get two splinters. So splinters drop from quests and from doing PvP content. And you combine 2 of them to make a spark. You add the spark, you add the trophy, and then all you need is the general sort of like crafting mats and stuff like that. And then you can buy the embellishments. So that's precog, shadow flame, other things that sort of give you sort of health and healing output and stuff like that. There's lots of different embellishments that is for improving and kind of giving it like a little side off thing. And you choose the right stats, and that's about it. And then you kind of put them all together. Now, obviously, I've said it in a very, very brief way, but when I didn't know what was going on, that was a huge amount of information. The simple
Mm-hmm.
way of doing it is simply you just go to the crafting vendor, look for a piece of gear that you like, and then just kind of scroll through, and you can see all the different bits that you can buy for it. And that way, I should take a screenshot of it and go to the auction house and get everything. But you
Interesting.
just basically fill the gaps, which is
Yeah.
great, which is exactly what you needed.
Yeah. It's interesting how you did it. What I did is I went over to murloc.io, and it didn't really have all the bits and pieces, but then I could then I went to the crafting orders and kind of figured out what little pieces I needed as well. And then I'm old, so I did pen and paper and wrote it down.
Pen and paper.
Yeah, I know. Pen and paper.
Wait, hold on. Just to clarify, you got
Mm-hmm.
both a pen
Mm-hmm.
and paper,
Mm-hmm.
and you used the pen on the paper.
Yep. Holding it up right now. You can see it on the screen. Wow, that's a blank one now. But yeah, big post-it
Yeah,
tab.
there's no writing on that. I mean, are you lying to me?
It's invisible ink.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
let's see. Well, I've got to put my invisible glasses on to read it.
So I think a couple things, just because I found it. So the trophies of conquest, There's the main one and the lesser one. So the lesser's 525 conquest points, and that's for your neck, back, wrist, and rings. And then the big trophy is 700 conquest, and that's for your shoulders, hands, waist, and boots. And same thing. It's actually the same cost in honor when you're doing, if you want to just maximize honor level. So if you don't have the conquest or you don't want to use it, you can use it, do the honor way, and then that puts it up to 437 PvP item level instead of 450 for the conquest.
Yeah. It's a good system for what it is. I think it works, but for me, it just feels like it's a bit of pay to win. You just buy stuff. Obviously, you still need to get the trophies and everything, so you still have to PvP. But it feels like it would just be simpler if you could get your gear from the vault, or buying it, and then it's the wrong stats, I'll just reforge it, and that way it makes sense. Like, even if you were just going to do it at the crafting house and it was just someone who did it and you just change a stat, you didn't need to get anything perfect, that would be ideal. But I think it's good. I think once you know what you're doing, it's very easy to do and takes no time at all. But the problem is that there is a lack of communication and information out there.
Totally.
But even like, I did actually go look on Murloc.io, and I looked at Icy Veins, and I looked at Wowhead, and I was like, this is just wall of text I just don't understand. So I was looking at it, I was like, this is just so much word vomit that didn't make any sense to me. And what they need is, they just need Sea-Doo to be sat down, and you just need to see a video of him going like, hey guys, this is what you need to do, and you need to go here and you get that, and he's like, this is what I do to get my shaman to be really great, and you just, that kind of thing. It would be really, really simple and easy, and it's very easy. He wouldn't even have to be like in the studio somewhere. He just needs to be on his camera, just talking it through, and it would just make things so much easier. And I think that would the system would still work if people knew what they were doing. Like, obviously, I know there are people out there that did know on the day one, but it's yeah, I didn't. So, and if I didn't, then
other people didn't.
Yeah, definitely other people didn't.
I think, sorry, one, and you actually mentioned 3, and I forgot to mention the third because you're right on that. It was 875, and that's for the head, chest, and legs.
Well, say that one more time. What was that? You said that last bit again.
Sorry, what? So the greater one is 875, which you had already mentioned.
You said something about me being correct, and I just wanted to reiterate that I was correct on this one.
I feel like I'm having an argument with my wife all of a sudden.
Oh, darling.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Please stop. All right. So I think the only other things that we need to point out is, obviously, there's tier gear, which has almost no versatility to it, but comes with its own reward, which is the added bonuses of spell power, or not spell power, improvements to your spells, your abilities, your defenses, whatever it is. So, and then there's the embellishments, which you kind of hit on. I think we should really talk about the embellishments, though, because I think this is something that, like for myself, if I'm just in a hurry, which I usually am, I'll just go, I'll go source the information. I'll go find a guide. I'll go look up somebody that's done something. I'll go look up the number one character on the ladder for whatever I'm trying to do, and just kind of copy and paste whatever they're doing, because obviously they've done a bunch of work, and that's why to make sure they have the min-max. But looking at this list, there's some really wacky stuff going on for these embellishments. Have you looked at all these things?
Yeah, I've seen them. I think from what I can see on here, it's talking about specific stuff that has a specific embellishment on it already. Like, for example, I think there's a cloak. There's a Versa mastery cloak. If I can try and find it somewhere, but basically there's a specific cloak that that has like a certain amount. Like here's a good one. For example, leather boots that successfully applying a loss of control to an enemy, interrupting an enemy, or dispelling any target increases your primary stat by 340 for 10 seconds. May not occur until 30 seconds time again. So there's basically different specific items that give a specific bonus.
Yes.
I think there's definitely some interesting examples. There's quite a lot of them there. As I was saying, like you wouldn't know any about this unless you looked up in this guide. But some of them are pretty bonkers. I can't remember. I think it's Spore Cloak. Undulating Spore Cloak is the one for that you get from like monks or like feral druids and stuff like that just boost your mastery, but then also kind of gives you a little bit of a shield, so it makes you a little bit more tanky.
Yep.
So there's a few things.
Demon hunters wear that too, eh?
Yes, of course. Can't forget that. All the leather decks. No, I should say decks. I mean energy using. I've been playing too much D&D. Energy using classes that obviously really benefit from the Versa mastery.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot in there. I think the major one though that you kind of want to really be aware of if you're playing caster though is the one that gives you precognition, which is I think the statuette of foreseen power.
That is it. Yes. Which you have to buy from a jewel crafter. It's made by jewel crafters.
Yes. Made by jewel crafters. And
so
then there's sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, so if you have a jewel crafter that can make it, there you go. Otherwise, you're buying it off the auction house, not cheap. I think one thing that, and I see people talk about this every once in a while in community chats and that, is if you're crafting a piece of gear that already has an embellishment on it, you can't add another embellishment to it, or you can't overwrite it. That piece of gear has that embellishment. That's it. That's all. So. But if you're getting a piece of gear that doesn't have an embellishment on it, then you can have this stuff added to it, which I think is also very important, because I'd hate for somebody to think that they can add, like, I don't know, the Shadow Flame patch to a piece of armor that already has an embellishment on it, and they're like, well, thanks technically, I just wasted 50,000 gold on this thing. It's like, sorry.
It has to be on a piece of gear that has nothing already.
Exactly.
Would normally not have anything on it. So
exactly,
that would be my suggestion there. But yeah, the statuette of foreseen power for precog, and then its opposite for melee is the figurine of gathering storm. Which is increasing. If you are in the midst of a movement impairing effect, it increases your next damage when you connect, which can be a bit scary. And there's quite a few different ones. I think the Shadow Flame one as well is all right. I mean, I didn't personally find that one to be amazing. I think a lot of people are using stuff like Blue Silken Lining. So when you're above 90% health, you've got mastery. Physical attacks sometimes do extra physical damage. That's Fang Endurance. Magazine of Healing Darts, where you heal. You sometimes fire a healing dart, which does some extra healing. With extra healing that you don't have to control, that's just kind of there. So there's lots of different little embellishments that can kind of help out, and you can kind of craft that gear how you want it to maximize whatever potential you want.
Yeah. The armor spikes has a chance to cause some physical damage upon being struck by a melee. So a bit of a count, if you're a melee getting hit by melee, that's a bit of a counter. I don't know if you'd want that. So this is also a neat thing, is you can only have 2 embellishments. So if you have a piece of gear that already has it embedded, and then you craft another piece with an embellishment on it, you're stuck with those two. So then again, is another risk and reward. Do you take away your figurine of Gathering Storm to put on some armor spikes that it might get mitigated anyways, because physical damage is really easy to get mitigated with armor?
Well, I guess in that situation, you kind of have to weigh up whether or not you have 2 different pieces that have crafted for that same slot, and then swap them in depending on what you're queuing into. We are very lucky that in Dragonflight and later expansions, you're able to see what you're queuing into, so you can adjust your gear depending on what you're facing. So if you
Well,
feel like that might actually that might change it. Having a little bit of thorns on there.
I'm not going to have 6 different same pieces of gear and swap it out depending on which embellishment I want to have on, though.
So you're not going to be min-maxing? I mean, that just sounds like a skill issue.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Sheesh. Oh, I don't know. I'm not that rich. I'm not going to have that much embellished gear sitting in the swap out pieces as depending on what I'm up against. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say though is, so armored spikes has a chance to cause X amount of physical damage upon being struck by a melee attack. You're only getting struck by a melee attack, either by a leather wearer, maybe an enhancement shaman, most likely a plate wearer, melee. And if it's a plate wearer, chances are that physical damage isn't going to do anything because their armor is going to mitigate it. That's kind of that's really what I'm trying to say. So
I see what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be interesting to. Yeah, I mean, there we go. Well, you just have to play it up and see how things work. I know that Thorns is a real nasty spell.
It is, and I wonder if that would, but that also reflects magic too, doesn't it? Because it reflects it as magic.
No, it does. I think it reflects it as magic, but it's from physical.
Yeah, but it reflects as magic, so then it goes through the armor value.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
This one, the toxified armor patch infuses the item with essence of decay, allows DK gear to have their effects increased by 100%. Sounds really cool. I don't know anybody's actually running around with decay gear on though in PvP.
I mean, I've just the question there for me is, would that?
I think it's only PvE that would matter with that.
Yeah, infuse the item that allows decayed gear to have their effects increased by 100%. But what's the decay? Where does that come from?
I think that's other crafted gear.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. That's a whole aspect of things I have no idea about. So if it's not to do with PvP, I don't care. Get out.
Yeah, I think it's a PvE thing. The other ones I like, this is the allied Ritz Guard of companionship. So your versatility of nearby ally is increased by 1%, which is kind of cool. Help out your people. You got your venom steeped stompers. So the stat increase bonus increases by 1.4%. Acid hailstone treads, your damage is increased by 1%. The Horizon Strider set. So this is a 3-piece set. I'm not sure if this works in PvE though, or PvP, where your haste per stack increases by 5%. So yeah, it has a 5 times stack, so you could increase your haste for 10 seconds by 25%. That can't work in PvE. That's a male.
I think it's no. I think it's no. Like a lot of these things do half the amount. Like it's like the tier set. It does half the amount in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, not all of them. Some of them are still 100%. But yeah, I have to. Anyway, just trying to think if there's anything else that. What's the? There's one other one. There's one other one, and sorry, actually no, it's not an embellishment. That is the leather armor for your pants to increase your health and versatility. But it's like an enchantment. It's leather armor. Never mind. It's not an embellishment. I'm talking about something else though. That's more of your enhancement stuff. So if you're talking about your enchantments and all that stuff, there's that piece too. But I don't think we. Do you want to talk about that? Because I don't.
What enhancements in general, like what you're enchanting your gear with?
Yeah,
I think sure. I think a lot of people tend to enchant, at least in PvP, enchant a lot of speed. So there's like at least 3 pieces that give you speed. I think it's good to kind of be fast. I mean, you'll notice that people run at you like a Ferrari nowadays. It's very hard to get away. There's a lot of mobility creep, and I think also as a caster, you're kind of doing the same thing. If you have an ability to get away fast, like Port with Warlock or Ghost Wolf, having a lot of extra speed is going to be really great for you because you're going to just be zooming. You're just going to be running really fast away from people as fast as you can. But to be honest with you, they're also going to be running at you really fast. So it's a nice, interesting mix of things in the way that in the way that things kind of like blend. And I think speed being that first one, you also want to I think there's a lot of stamina on there. So you've got stamina belt, stamina on legs. Main stat is obviously king. Main stat still does a lot of damage, kind of increases the weight, how much damage output you do have. And then I think gemming is probably the other part, which is really interesting. So you can get like 3 gem slots on your neck piece. You can get 1 on your braces. I think 1 on your head, waist, gloves. I think something along those lines. Like there's a few extra pieces that you can do, like at least both rings for sure. And because our versatility is a lot higher, because we're in season 2 gear, you can pretty much mostly gem with your main with your secondary stats. Sorry, so something like mastery or haste and mastery, depending on what you need, and you kind of really min max the kind of spec that you want. So, for example, on my Pharaoh, I have almost 60% mastery, or I do have 60% mastery, and I've also got like 32% Versa. So I'm not actually kind of over the cap there for my Versa. Obviously, I'm massively over on the mastery, but it makes a massive difference because you just seem to hit a lot harder.
Wow.
So, and I've got a lot of gems that are basically haste mastery or full mastery because I just don't need the versatility. I don't need the extra versatility at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some really cool ways of being able to do that, and kind of adapt your gems to kind of fit how your last bits of stats need to be weighed.
Yeah, I think the only thing I find is you're having to make a decision, at least at initial gearing stages, because the only way we can get gem slots on our gear is through the coin vendor from the vault, right? So you'd have to do whatever you're doing, PvE or PvP, and then not need a piece of gear to then get the coins to then buy the item to add a gem slot, with of course exception of the jewel crafter piece, which is what's it, the tiered medallion or whatever, to add a gem slot to your neck piece.
Yes, but also if you craft a piece of gear, like for example, if you craft rings, they come automatically with a gem slot. So
yes,
a lot of the crafted gear on those pieces, if you make it, will actually come with a slot for you to put gems in, and that's pretty good. So most people will buy or craft the Signet of Titanic Insight on ring. It's a really great way of guaranteeing that second main stat ring. So that will come with a gem slot. If you've got the money and you've got the trophy to do it, then you can do the second one. But it's incredibly, it's not too difficult to do. It's just a time sink more than anything. So, but you can guarantee those. You don't even have to do the PvP. Well, you do have to, obviously, to get the trophy, but you almost don't have to kind of, really do a lot in order to get that sorted.
True.
You don't have to wait sort of like 6 weeks for, a six coins in order to get your gem slot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much covers most of the stuff about the gearing, at least for PvP. I think the only thing I'd say is, before you go ahead and start, especially when you're going to start hitting the auction house to try to buy stuff, you especially on the crafted gear, you don't have to buy the highest gold tier item stuff to build. If you really want to, you can buy lower quality stuff, because it doesn't matter that only impacts what the PvE item level is. The trophies or will automatically make it 450 or for the conquest stuff. So you can have something that's like copper tiered, like item level 200 or whatever, but it'll still jack up to 450 when you get into PvP, right? So
Mm.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. The other thing is that if, let's say, you don't have the gold for it, go ahead and get the lower quality stuff. And then when you do get the money, you buy the higher quality stuff and just have it recrafted. And then you're also golden that way. And it's much cheaper when you're recrafting, right? You don't need all the same stuff to recraft a piece that you already have. Trying to think if there's anything else that's a good tip.
I think the best thing to do, and the biggest tip I can say, is ask your friends. Like, if
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing, ask your mates. Like, they're the only ones that there are people out there that live and live and breathe the systems in World of Warcraft. So there'll be someone who can help you out. That's what I did.
One thing I'm wondering, and I forgot to look this up before I opened my mouth. Engineering items. I'm pretty sure they don't work in instance PvP. Even if you're an engineer. Pardon me?
I don't think you do. I don't think they do, because I haven't seen any at all.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I haven't seen anything that works like that in instance PvP at all. And if it did, we would hear about it, because people, I'm just saying, people would go on and on and on about it in TBC when engineering was kind of nuts for certain things that it got you, and all those trinkets that absolutely blew everyone's mind, and they nerfed those. But like, that's the thing with the PvP community. When something's wrong immediately, someone's going to be complaining about it.
Yeah.
So
true.
And if there's no one complaining about it, then things are kind of probably okay.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, and chat's responding, they're saying, yeah, it's engineering items don't work. So if you're an engineer, unrated battlegrounds, they'll work, sure, but instance rated PvP, they won't work. So if you want to be super OP, go ahead and get yourself an engineer, make yourself some pretty cool stuff, and go and have fun in unrated battlegrounds. Just
be Gerrisar.
Watch somebody rage. Anyway, what?
Okay, this is the scenario. Your name is Gerrisar. You have a vengeance demon hunter. You have an engineering thing that gives you some sort of speed. You run from one end of the battleground, pick up the flag, run back. It's 10 seconds later. You've capped your first game. Everyone else starts leaving. That's the good life. That's the World of Warcraft we play.
I don't do that though. That's the thing. The only thing I do is I have gliders, if anything, for unrated.
You're not. Yeah, I mean, you're still digging this hole. The glider makes it worse. Anyway.
And they're not. The gliders I have are the ones you buy with honor tokens, not with. They're not the goblin ones.
I mean, so that doesn't make it any better. Oh no, he buys it with honor. The honor that he's got from really upsetting people in battlegrounds.
All right. Okay. Fine, Jake. What would you change then? What's the one thing you would change?
Yeah, the age-old question. So I think we've talked about this a significant amount, or at least I have. The one thing I would change, if we're talking about, I know we normally talk about anything in Blizzard, especially with our guests, like anything. Blizzard, Bobby Kotick is, he's your little footstool. He'll do everything you say, and you can change anything you want. I personally, I'm going to talk about in specifics with gearing. I've already talked about this. I would like to see some form of reforging come back in that is simpler, easier, and I would love to see more communication. Obviously, you guys all know that I'm big on communication. I have been asking for what is almost 46 days for some sort of change on the communication side of things from Blizzard. And I think this is a really great opportunity for them to actually make up for the fact that they did that PvP pool situation and actually get CDU in to kind of talk about the PvP systems that they implement going forwards. It would be really, really great. And I think earning back a bit of that trust back from the community would be fantastic. So that would be the one-ish thing that I would change.
Okay. I personally I'd tweak it a little bit and have like a round table, have not just CDU, but have like some multiple high-end PvPers a healer
Yeah,
or
that's
DPS, that kind of stuff.
great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I think that'd be nice, like a little like round table of them, sort of like Sea-Doo goes, and now you do it. I don't know, Venruki comes in and does that, and then they talk. So yeah, I think that's a really great idea. I think a little round table. There we go. Perfect. Amazing.
Okay. I'm going to be a little toxic. So I would like them. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to be like, all right, Bobby, this is what you got to do. You're going to build a battleground map where you're the boss. And the whole idea is that everybody's going to rush and try to kill you and bum rush you as fast as possible. And the team that kills you first is the one that wins the battleground. And so we literally have a battleground where we get to kill Bobby every 15 minutes or so.
God, that's cathartic. That's cathartic. If you look up cathartism in the dictionary, or cathartic in the dictionary, it's killing Bobby Kotick in a battleground. Revenge is sweet.
I think that the real thing is that because obviously they never call anybody by the real name. They always do like different names. So it'd be what Kabi Botik or something like that. And I'm guessing it would probably be like somebody that looks like the Goblin King.
Yeah, I'm trying to write it out in the chat now. So BAWBIE. Here we go. Hold on, I've almost got it. K apostrophe TIK. There we go. Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick. There we go.
Bobby.
It's like, hey, it's me, Bobby Kotick.
If you kill me, you get my pile of gold.
If you kill me, you get your pile of gold.
Yeah. Time is money, friend.
That's exactly it.
I actually wonder if Bobby says that when he walks around the office. Anyway,
he just stares at his like VP in the face and goes, "Time is money, friend." And then he takes his cut and then goes in his office and eats a big fat piece of cake.
Yeah. Probably eats a lot of cake every day. All right. On that, let's roll into the news and see what's been happening for PvP related news. Here we go.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
And stumbling over my words tonight. Not that that's really different of any other night. All right, so PvP news. Couple things that have happened in the community. First and foremost, I know we announced there was the intra-factional duel league, the IDL. They were hosting a 2v2 tournament over on the EU for, I'd say, a substantial amount of euros for a community-started event. It was actually pretty good. I watched some of it. Unfortunately, so for the team that won ended up being, I'm going to ruin the name of the team. Anyways, it was Chocopapa and pardon me. I'm just brain farting his name now. Pardon me?
I always call him Quinair, but it's probably not.
Oh, Queener. Yeah.
Queener, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man. Brain farted that hard. Yeah. So they won. I'm just going to check the name of the team as soon as I get this up because I wasn't prepared. Was the Leoncy Fan Club or Leoncy Fan Club. Anyways, Leoncy Fan Club, they ended up winning, took first place. The community did what the community did. They pay everybody out, or they at least started paying out. And then another piece of news we'll talk about very shortly, but a ban wave went out. Apparently, Blizzard decided to ban a whole bunch of people that were using rotation bots. And this one, the player Choco Papa ended up being tagged in that. So they are now banned from playing the game in Wrath Classic. And the tournament organizer said that they have no way of detecting. They don't know if they were using it or not, but one can only assume that that was possible, which then makes them technically a cheater. So they are now banned from competing in this event ever again. Unfortunately, they can't take the money back because it was already paid out. But on that, it now completely it tarnishes the community tournament which they were doing. So it's quite unfortunate. And the member, this player Choco Papa, actually said it actually admitted, I guess, that they used an add-on called iMorph, which is essentially this. So yeah. Anyways, it's quite unfortunate. And if anybody's wondering what these are, these rotation bots, you move your character around and the bot still does all your abilities in almost a perfect rotation for you. So you don't have to worry about doing three things at once. You only have to do one thing, which is move your character. I guess the other thing is watch your weak auras and push cooldowns if you need to. Assume that the add-on isn't doing it already, or this rotation bot. Anyways, that is what it is. Kind of, I'll say it's very unfortunate because it does tarnish the tournament and makes the spirit of competition unfortunately tarnished. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but are you surprised that people at this high end are using anything to enhance their gameplay to try to win?
No, I'm not. I don't think it. I think that the people have been using bots for a really long time now. Obviously, they've gotten a lot better nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's a shame, and I think annoyingly, I've seen a lot of chatter and I've seen a lot of people defend them. But at the end of the day, you can sit there and defend them as much as you like, but Blizzard banned them
Mm-hmm.
for something, so they were clearly doing something.
Yeah.
You know, these facts don't lie. People get banned for a reason, you know. So you can sit there and go, he's not done it, it's a witch hunt and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if I would get that if Blizzard hadn't banned him, like if Blizzard done nothing, then you could kind of go, yeah, you know what, there's actually no evidence to suggest that the guy is doing anything other than these videos, and he could just be incredibly good. But the fact that he's actually been banned by Blizzard, who've investigated and found this to be the case, and then obviously he's admitted that there is a program that he's using, then it just becomes very obvious that is the reason why. But there are people, like his own teammate was defending him quite heavily and kind of calling people delusional and kind of like really, really heavily defending the position. And I thought, you know what, just take the L for once. Like, why is your ego such a big problem? That you feel like you need to justify and defend this sort of behavior when you could just say, yeah, you know what, he made that mistake, that's him, and that's what, you know, to be humble. Because I think that's one of the major things that we have as a problem in this community is there are a lot of egos. So yeah, it's just a real shame. I mean, it's no surprise. I think people have been doing it for years, but there are, you know, people are coming up with different ways to try and compete with the other players that are incredibly good. So yeah, I get it.
It makes me wonder if these people that defended players that use bots are the same people that try to defend a person in traditional sports that's caught using steroids.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be the first people to call them out. The reason why they're defending them is because as you say, it would tarnishes their reputation. That's the difference. When people do that, people will defend people that are on their team. It's the same reason why, annoyingly, there are some very despicable people in the WoW community that do some terrible things, and people will still queue with them. And the reason why is because that's their teammate, and that is their link to, you know, getting Gladiator or pushing high rating or getting rank 1 or whatever. And instead of kind of going, you know what, I'll find someone else to queue with because I really don't like this guy's behavior, they just excuse it all the time, or try and ignore it to then continue to queue with them. So it's that similar sort of behavior, because you're only doing it because it works better in your favor not to do it that way, but it's just because you lack a very moral standing. So it's no surprise to me.
You're reminding me of something I saw in a Discord where there's a quote where somebody said RBGers would would team with Hitler if it meant that they would get higher CR.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I mean, I don't think that's 100. It's totally an RBG thing, but PvP is high rated PvPers probably would queue up with Hitler or Stalin if they felt like it would push them to rank 1
Yeah.
the next season, because realistically speaking, that all they care about is that CR push.
Would they team up with Mussolini though?
Probably not, no, because I think Mussolini's a bit crap. So he's a 1200 Andy.
Yeah, he seems more like a tabletop gamer than a Twitch gamer.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. On that, the other event that happened on the weekend, the Method Mayhem, they did the RBG tournament. It said it was an NA tournament, but actually the teams were mixed. They had EU and NA players teamed together, which was very different, and was actually wild. The matches were extremely close. You can't tell it by the score, but literally there's games where it came down to like a 10-point difference. Like I think there's one game where the team capped with like a minute. Like it was almost looking like the game was going to go to a stall, and it was going to be a draw. And then they had like a last minute cap, and like the casters went wild. It's a great match. If you're gonna go to Method's Twitch stream, they have the VODs there as rebroadcasts. Highly recommend watching it in double time or skipping ahead, because both days were basically like 18-hour days. They are long days, and partially that's because they allowed the teams to move players in and out, and so there was respecking, regearing, all that other stuff. So it for some delays. Pardon me, I got the hic burps all of a sudden. Anyways, on that, congratulations to Void GG for winning. I don't know what the actual end prize pool was. I know they were using Matcherino to help crowdfund for this, but I'm not sure if they also had money set aside. I will say from the community donations and the quests that they did through Matcherino, the prize pool from that was about $815 alone, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, that's really awesome. Hot fixes. This one, let's take, since we didn't talk so long in the subject analysis, let's take a minute and actually talk about hot fixes. So how about this? So there was an issue. Precog was being triggered from interrupts that was reduced by the Paladin's concentration aura. So that was fixed. Thankfully, there's some issues with the changes to Demon Bolt damage. And shout out to Lika on finding this one. So there was supposed to be a class balancing where they were going to adjust Demon Bolt damage in PvP. And I think this kind of speaks to just how big the game is. The developers actually added the PvP modifier to the wrong version of Demon Bolt. It was the one from, I think, Legion, not from Dragonflight. So yeah, don't blame yourself as a player if you're having a hard time figuring out what spell is what in the database, because apparently even the devs have a hard time figuring that out sometimes. So shout out to the devs for fixing it though right away. I think rolling into the actual class balances that happened effectively August the 22nd, 23rd, depending which realm you're in, which region. Jake, I want to ask you to kind of can you roll through some highlights here? What are the big changes that we should know about?
Well, to be honest with you, I think most people know the big changes. The thing that's really interesting is the small little changes, like what you mentioned with the Demon Bolt's damage not being properly applied. Another big thing that I've seen, at least from August 22nd, is Stormkeeper refreshing the 2-set, refreshing in between solo shuffle rounds, which obviously wasn't doing before.
Yes.
So it would what the 2-set for LE is that you get Stormkeeper every minute and a half. And that just procs on cooldown every minute and a half, and you get to use it, so which is great, which means you don't ever have to take Stormkeeper, which is cool. So you'll have that as a damage output. But before, it wasn't happening as soon as you came in to the solo shuffle round, when it should just instantly refresh for you after a few seconds. So yeah, that's a nice little Ellie buff. Trying to think what else. Another big thing is iBeam no longer being able to be interrupted, so it doesn't have a lockout score at all, so it can't be locked out, which I think is bonkers. That should never really have been a thing.
I don't see a
I
problem
just
with it.
don't. Yeah. Mages got nerfed. Mages got nerfed. I think there were some nerfs and some buffs to how Fistwither works. Damage increased on Paladin. Rogue's got an increase. I mean, there's just a lot of as I've always said, there's just a few. They're just trying to like shove the balancing a little bit in the wrong direction. There's some very bonkers damage out there that just doesn't need to be out there. So I think the main ones is sort of augmentation nerf, hunter's buff, some nerfs to monk, some nerfs to other specs, Ellie buff, enhanced nerf, and sort of general warlock buffs as well, and warrior buffs as well. So it's very interesting. I don't feel like the warrior buffs have been too major, but I don't know. You just have to play very meta comp nowadays in order for you to actually even be able to survive some of the melee cleaves. So, but those are the kind of the ones that stand out for me.
True. I will say, so it was interesting with the arms warrior buffs that happened. There's a lot of conversation on Twitter. Some people were talking about how, and like some of these are pretty big. Like Bladestorm damage got buffed by 30%. Like that seems a little bit crazy to me. Execute was buffed by 15%. That's a pretty big, and Immortal Strike damage is increased by another 25%. It was 10, now it's 35. Like those are some pretty big numbers. And we are talking about before how we're really enjoying these tunings that they're doing, where it's like 5% here, 7% there. These are like some pretty big tuning changes. But I find it interesting that you're saying that you're not feeling it as impactful as people were paper mathing it as being.
Maybe because I haven't played as much, but they're definitely. I've played a few games today, and it didn't feel too bonkers. Let's say. So, I didn't even feel like. I mean, I could definitely feel there was an Ellie buff. Like the buff to Ellie's lava burst can definitely be felt.
Interesting.
But it doesn't for me. It doesn't feel massively different. A lot of things don't feel massively different. I just think.
Okay.
The endemic the endemic problem is, simply put, that certain specs are able to just latch onto you and never leave, and other specs are completely they can kite you into Africa without you ever touching them. Yeah, hunters, mages are pretty strong for the kiting ability, and then just do obscene amounts of damage all the time. So it's I don't mind. I think the thing is that people need to bear in mind that Blizzard could easily fix the game just by nerfing or buffing things ever so slightly. Like, okay, this class got a lot of mobility, but let's just tune the damage down ever so slightly, or stuff like that, or we'll adjust the damage, or adjust your health pool, or adjust the shields that you can do, that kind of stuff, or adjust the cooldown on this. And if they just do that ever so slightly, it will make such a massive difference. Like if you put 2 seconds longer on blink as a cooldown, can you imagine that? Would that make them better or worse? Would that be fair or not? Like, it's just, that's how you test things, and it doesn't feel like that's happening to me.
No. I mean, honestly, if you did that, I think it would feel fair, but I'm sure the mage community would go up in arms.
They'd hate it, but at least it's 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not like 5 seconds or 6 seconds. It's 1 or 2 seconds. That's not too bad. It's enough to kind of like for maybe the melee to feel like, okay, yeah, I can actually manage mages a bit better now if I play well. But stuff like that. For example, put an internal cooldown on Kiefer's, so that although the monk can port to you, he can't just spam it the entire time. He has to wait like 6 seconds or something before he can do it again.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, like something that kind of means that people aren't just perpetually on top of you.
Yeah. No, I think that's, and it goes, we talked about it before, mobility right now is very king in the game. And if a class has high mobility and able to do damage while moving, or pump out damage when it's able to stop moving, and finally, you can't connect to it, it's just sitting back there and launching bolts at you or whatever. Like that's very unfair.
I got charge routed today, right, by a warrior. I wasn't even next to the guy that got charged. I got routed. I was 10 yards away from him. Like, what?
What?
Yeah, legit.
Huh.
That happened to me today. I was just like, I didn't understand how that even works. Like, I wasn't close to him. So that's either some
Weird.
MS problem, but yeah, it's crazy.
Weird. Yeah, it's because I don't even know what the range is on that, but 10 yards seems like too far away. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Where is it bugged? No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Just take them out of the game for a bit. They're Blizzard. Clearly they're bugged.
You give them the seething shore treatment. Yeah, take them out of the game.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. All right. I think that's about it for hot fixes, at least the major stuff. I don't think there's anything else really worthwhile that has happened. I want to say there's one other thing, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, whatever it is, it's clearly it's not that important. Anyway, so yeah, what's the other things? Oh yeah, so the ban wave, we kind of talked about it. There was a post on Reddit. Quick shout out to Mortai for sharing that to our Discord, so raised the awareness to it. The Reddit post was subsequently deleted by the original poster. I was able to find it again on another site called owned core. So according to it, there's about 8 to 10,000 people that got banned, are targeted banned. To me, the hilarious part to it is some people then turned around and submitted tickets to appeal the bans and used ChatGPT to help draft their appeals and got them reduced to 6 months.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it went from a year to 6 months or something like that. The other thing is this rotation bot that people were using charged about $30 a month to use it for the services. So these people were paying, so they bought Dragonflight, they're paying $20 a month for the subscription fees for Dragonflight, and then they're paying $30 a month for a rotation bot so that they could get higher rating and boost their egos. And now they don't have a game to play.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. Honestly, they're probably off playing League of Legends, or they just made another Smurf account and bought another version of Dragonflight, which happens to be on sale for 50% this week. So, hey, they'll just be able to get another account for cheaper. So, cool.
Yeah,
Kudos to
if
them.
If you're really struggling for a game, you can always go and play Baldur's Gate 3. Which is very fulfilling.
Only if you like turn-based combat, though, right?
Yeah, so only if you like turn-based combat, yeah.
All right. I don't know what to say. Like, I mean, bots have been in the game forever. I'm glad that they banned a bunch of them. It taints the gameplay, I think. It gives people a false sense of capability. And I'm happy that it's gone. But there'll probably be another one. I mean, bots have been around for ages, helping people play the video game. You can see it sometimes still. You go into a battleground and there's somebody, like, this character's like running off into Africa on a map because the bot went wild. And you're like, yeah. Who knows? Maybe they're an 8-year-old kid, one of the two.
I lost control.
Yeah.
The machine's taken over.
I don't know. Actually, sorry, I'm just going to take a tangent here. I think that's one thing that I personally I had to remind myself is that when we're playing the game, we never know who's on the other side of the character. It could be an 8-year-old kid or a 60 or an 88-year-old person, right? Yeah. Like, and you don't know what their day's been like. So I think for a while there, I kept having the assumption that the person I was communicating with or on the other side of the screen was an adult of similar capacity, certain, even-mindedness, with not having to deal with any major life issues, really. And so I think that I had to remind myself that just recently, that maybe I'm talking to a 13-year-old. The reason why the person on the other side of that screen is typing at me like they're a 13-year-old kid is because they might be a 13-year-old kid.
It might be a 13-year-old kid, yeah.
Right.
Or a 25-year-old with severe problems.
Yeah, totally. So, yep. Wow, grandma. Perfect example. Thanks. An elderly lady who's literally a grandma, and she streams and plays World of Warcraft, and she's an amazing person. So,
Well,
yeah.
I'd like to fight her in the arena. That's for sure. Wow, grandma, if you hear this, it's an open challenge. Duel me. Duel me in the Gurubashi arena.
Are you talking retail, or are you going to go play hardcore classic and go Makara and get ears? Is that what you're talking?
Well, dealer's choice, whatever WoW grandma wants to do. I'll fight her. I'll fight her no matter where.
Well, instead of challenging WoW grandma, why don't you give a little shout out there, Jake, and we'll roll this out.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of a shout out, and I feel like I should just shout out WoW grandma now. So big shout out to WoW grandma for not knowing who I am, but also understanding that should she ever find out who I am, that there is a challenge for her to fight me 1v1 in Gurubashi Arena. So thank you very much, WoW grandma.
There you go. That's awesome. I want to do a quick shout out to our listeners. I kind of sat back today and I realized that we are now at episode 187. And if it wasn't for the people that downloaded this show and listened to us on the bi-weekly, I don't know if we'd still be doing this right now, but it makes it worthwhile. So thank you for the people that download, interact with us on social media, Twitter, over at Discord, all that stuff. It makes it worthwhile. So thank you, everybody, for listening. All right, Jake, since Big's not here, can you do the whole outro?
It would be my honor. Of course. You can. What you want to? I guess you want to know where the listeners can reach us, right?
Yeah.
Well, of course. If you are a listener and you want to reach us, you can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Production Discord. And if you want to, you can also visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so please do head over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And a quick shout out to the podcast Reborn, But Wait, There's Lore, Experimental Card for Azeroth, Girls Gone WoW, Hearth Casual, Raw Maintenance, Unshackled Fury, You Think You Do, But You Don't, The 10th Divine, Wrath Babies, and Going IRL, those are all the shows that are currently under the Bonus Roll Productions umbrella. As always, links for everything we talked about are going to be in show notes. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.